Hi everyone, my name is Lexi Miller, and today I'm interviewing Alex. When I went abroad with AIFS, I studied abroad in Ireland, Maynooth, and Alex is here to tell us about his program today. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Alexander Endorf. I'm a junior studying economics and finance at the University of Alabama, though I am originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I chose to go to Corvinus University, which is in Budapest, Hungary, in Europe. It's been an amazing place so far. One of the things that I really loved about it was just kind of like the way that my classes were going to transfer back for me. I'm a junior, so having the classes transfer back was a very important aspect for me. I also loved just the history and the culture of the area. I feel like I didn't know that much about Central and like Eastern Europe before I came here. It's been very fascinating to see all of that. I'm at the end of my study abroad experience so far. And I think when I was first going to come over here, one of my main motivations was just, being able to study abroad. UA was very generous with some of the opportunities that it had with studying abroad. Like I can use my tuition towards studying abroad. It was very cost effective for me. And then the other thing too was I had seen other people study abroad and I'm a competitive person. It was something that I wanted to do as well. It's a great opportunity to both study and live someplace new, learn new things, meet new people. Yeah, it's just been all about the things that I've learned while I've been here. And there's been a lot of personal development for me, which has been very great.
Yeah, those are all really great reasons to want to study abroad. And now that you're still currently on your program, you still have some time left, but what is something that you have learned so far that you may not have if you didn't study abroad?
So I guess one of the things was just like learning more about a region, an area that I didn't know much about before. So like two of my courses, like History of Modern Europe and then also Comparative Political Economy, they've just been extremely helpful for me. So I've learned a lot about the developments of Hungary and Central and Eastern Europe during the 21st or the 20th century. I guess both courses provided me two different perspectives. One was more of like a historical and social lens on things, while the other was more quantitative and economic. The cool thing is that I've gotten to visit a lot of the places that I've learned about in these courses. AIFS has trips that they plan. Denise has been fantastic for that. And then also, I've done my own travels and stuff and just getting to see all of that, learn about the culture, the people. It's been fantastic. And I think just like knowing the background of the region has been very useful for me, especially in just understanding the modern challenges of the area as a part of broader Europe. And it's also kind of allowed me to understand like the international inner workings of, I guess politics. That's one of my interests and such. So like learning how like the European Union, for example, works, how the European Parliament, how all those things kind of interact together. It's been a very interesting experience for me because it's not something that I would have normally thought of when I was in the US. So all the information that I've gained here has just been very useful.
It puts everything into perspective to learn about like different kind of history because you grow up like in America learning about like the same things like over and over again. I feel like we know that history, but to learn other countries and cultures' history, it really is so special and you really wouldn't get that anywhere else.
When we like learn history about Europe, I feel like we talk a lot about like Germany and France and UK, Italy, and we don't really talk about Eastern or Central Europe that much at all. And so just getting to like actually talk to people who've experienced those things and like see all the monuments, walk around, see how beautiful everything is, it's kind of surreal at times. So I've enjoyed it so far.
Well, now that you're still abroad, have you noticed that any like strengths or talents have kind of like come about while you've been here? Do you like notice anything different about maybe your study habits or anything like that?
I took the Clifton Strengths assessment that AIFS provided, which
Yeah.
is very, informative. It's very useful for understanding kind of like how you approach things, how kind of you are as a person, I guess. And so one of the things I focus on is like continuous improvement because that's just kind of how I approach life. One of the main strengths that I have is restorative, which is basically just all about problem solving. And so when you're traveling, you're planning while you're abroad, there's a lot of unexpected things that come up. And so I've really learned how to better handle these situations just to find more effective solutions. And that's been really great. Like you're going somewhere and then, something that you don't know exactly how like say public transportation works and then, something goes wrong and then you have to figure out an alternative. And that's just how things are. And, I've learned to handle those types of situations better. But I've also gotten to use that skill in one of my favorite classes, which is business protocol and negotiation, which has
Ooh.
really taught me about like problem solving, but like in the context of like intercultural communication. So our final project in the class was a negotiation role play where my side, which was a German company, we had to negotiate terms of an investment project with the other side, which was just a local government. And so I was able to use like my context, which is all about like collecting information, and then also my restorative strengths together to pay attention to the interests of the other side and then kind of like refocus the negotiation to find mutually beneficial solutions. You know, learning how to not just be competitive, which is kind of what I am, but then also finding solutions that benefit everybody using my other skills. It's been something that I hope to eventually apply to my career.
Yeah, wow, that is so, so fascinating. I've never heard of a class like that. So that definitely, I think, is beneficial to kind of push forward what you want to do with your life. That's awesome.
Being abroad allows you to take classes like that.
Hmm.
So, I mean, one of the things for me was I was going to take my two finance courses because I'm a finance major, finance econ. I had that option to kind of develop more soft skills that you kind of ignore sometimes. And
Hmm.
so I don't know, it's been extremely, extremely beneficial. It's my favorite class. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. The classes you take abroad are some that like I never would have been able to take here. It's always so different and so unique, and I think that's really one of the biggest benefits of studying abroad is the different courses that you can take, truly. Yeah, you talked about this a little bit too with that answer and also just like previously in the interview, but the difference in the culture from where you are versus being back in America. Could you maybe talk about a time where like the differences in background and culture were kind of like either a problem or you notice a difference in it, or just how did you approach the situation and what you learned from it?
There's been a couple times where I've just kind of like made assumptions about things that maybe I shouldn't have.
Hmm.
So one of them was like with like formality. So in the US, it seems like we're more casual with our educational system, at least at my university, the
Yeah.
University of Alabama. And so like on my campus, you know, t-shirt and shorts, pretty standard.
Yeah.
Most of my emails begin with hi instead of dear. And like I know
Uh-huh.
like the whole like email etiquette and all that, but like it's more of a casual thing. It's not necessarily
Hmm.
like, you know, super formal. Well, in my business protocol class, I accidentally emailed my professor in a more informal way. And I don't
Uh-huh.
think she liked that much, but so I've kind of learned that it's definitely more important to use a more formal, like to err on the side of formality rather than, you know, being informal, which is,
Hmm.
I guess, good. And then it's also kind of cool just to see all of my classmates here dressed up in like sweaters and polos and
Hmm.
all of that, which I didn't bring with me, so I can't, but you know, it's cool to see. I guess there is one other thing too. Cultures also treat time and other things differently, which has been something that I've been able to watch, not just from like seeing Hungarians, but also seeing some of the other international students here. It's like my German friends tend to be very punctual and they finish business right
Hmm.
away. It's like we go out to eat, the Germans always pay me back immediately, you know.
Uh-huh.
My French friends tend to be a bit more relaxed. Instead of like arranging to meet my French friends at a certain place at a certain time, I've learned to kind of just like let them know where I will be so that they can
Yeah.
meet me when they can, I guess.
Hmm.
Learning to understand different cultures and just realize that people don't act exactly the same way in the US as they do in the US, and that there are different ways of doing things, and you just got to understand it and adapt to it. So, yeah.
Figuring out what the normal for everybody is based on where they are from around the world. It's just kind of like coming to like an understanding with one another. Like you said, like now you know how to like talk with your French friends on like how to like plan things, but it takes some time to really understand different cultures and like what you need to do to adapt to make it work out.
Right. It's also kind of cool too because you can see how different areas of the US are different like
Hmm.
culturally too. It's not something you really think
Yeah.
of that much, but like I'm from Nebraska, which is in the Midwest, and it
Hmm.
kind of tends to be a little bit more, I don't know, German-esque in some ways, like
Hmm.
more formal with stuff. So like I had a job interview that I was doing earlier, just like for the summer or whatever. It was like the most like formal thing. And I'd never like thought of that before. But
Yeah.
then you're just being exposed to different cultures, it makes you realize how things are different even in the US.
It's just so interesting to see, and also studying abroad just helps you learn about the US too in some ways. It's so crazy. What also did you notice about maybe like green or sustainable lifestyles like while studying abroad? Did you notice that there's any differences from the US, and if there is, do you think you might take that back with you when you come home?
I guess one thing is like with plastic bags and stuff, like I'm not used to paying for plastic bags. It's
Mhm.
very easy when you're in the US just to, I mean, maybe New York or New Jersey, you have to pay for bags. I know I have
Yeah.
two in DC, but like Alabama, Nebraska, I've never had to do that. And
Uh-huh.
so it's easy just to, throw a bunch of stuff in a bag and just, leave the grocery store or whatever. But here it's much more convenient for me to just carry all of my groceries in my backpack after school instead of purchasing plastic bags every time that I go shopping. I think that I'll probably continue that in the US, even though the bags are free, just
Mhm.
because it's really easy to accumulate too many plastic bags.
Yeah.
And also just a simple thing you can do to help the environment. Shopping at farmers markets is something that I think I would like to do more in the US.
Yeah.
One of the wonderful things about Budapest is that in like the surrounding areas is that there's lots of like local markets and stuff. In addition to the grocery stores, and like they're very easy to get to. Like you're just walking around and you see, oh, there's a market right there, and you just stop and purchase something. And some of the best like produce that I've gotten is from those places, and I just never thought of that. Like it's always been about convenience for me in the US. Being here makes me realize that's really an option. And then I guess lastly, I also want to continue just prioritizing walking over driving my car when I can. Living here in Budapest, I can take the metro, I can take all of the buses, the trams, and everything. But when I'm not taking that, I get to just walk around the city and just enjoy everything. And I think that's something I want to do in the US. I want to just have that time just to walk, collect my thoughts, and just kind of think about things. So yeah, those are a bit about some of the green things I hope to carry over.
Yeah, those are great things to continue with, especially the walking. I find I try to do as much as I can is just so difficult because where I'm like am just like everything is so spread apart and like you need a car
Right.
to get everywhere and like public transportation just is not the same as it is abroad. But yeah, walking, I like and with my friends I'm like, "Oh, it's like a 20-minute walk. Let's go." And they're like, "20 minutes? That's so long." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think anything of it." So it's definitely just like once you start to be able to walk everywhere, it just really kind of changes your perspective on walking places instead of like driving.
Right. I'm like looking back to my experiences at UA, and like the main rec center is like a 30-minute walk from my dorm, and that was just always like too far for me, I
Mhm.
guess. And now I'm kind of realizing that's really not that bad at all.
Yeah.
Like I walk 30 minutes to class if I don't want to take the metro, and it works fine. I
Yeah,
don't know why I'm
exactly.
going to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have one last question for you. What is one piece of advice that you would give anyone thinking about studying abroad?
I think one thing is just like really considering multiple different locations. Like, don't just think that because everyone goes to one certain place that that's where you have to go as well. If your friend's gone to Italy and you've heard lots of good things, cool. You should think about doing that. But then also look into other options. Don't just like pigeonhole yourself into one place. So like being in Budapest, like it's not like I've stayed in Hungary the entire time. I've gotten to go so many different places. I've gotten to explore Germany,
Mhm.
Poland, Austria, like some of the Balkan states, Czech Republic, so many awesome places. And then earlier this semester, like before my AIFS trip, I did a experience in South America. And
Wow.
I'd been preparing for Budapest. I hadn't really thought much about, being in Chile, being in South America, and I realized that was awesome. I don't know why I didn't consider going there before. Like I was just kind of thought, yeah, I'm going to go to Europe, maybe not, the mainland, but I'm going to go to Europe.
Yeah.
And I just wish I'd considered more places and seen what other opportunities were available to me. So yeah, don't pigeon yourself. Don't pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. The world is huge. There are
But,
so many places to go, so many options, and I know AFS offers so many different locations. And
right.
the great thing is all the excursions that they offer too. With the places you go, you really get to know the country you're staying in. And then, like you said, when I studied abroad, I also got to fly to other countries and go visit other places. It's so much more accessible to do when you're there, that you'll find yourself traveling a lot without even realizing it.
And honestly, I think a lot of people will enjoy whatever location they do end up choosing. They'll find things that they love about it. I think just going abroad is a fantastic idea no matter what. So that's my main piece of advice. Just consider going abroad and like actually think about it because it's definitely achievable.
Thank you so much, Alex, for all of your great advice and your great answers. Yeah, thank you for joining this interview today and tune in next time.